Cam Vaughn making a big decision on TikTok Live tonight. But does it benefit West Virginia or not?
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia. As we're diving into West Virginia sports talk again tonight, thank you guys for being here. Like I said, my name is Mountaineer Paul, your daily place for West Virginia content. And we love doing it for you twice a day. Today, 3 times a day. We barely made the cutoff for 3 times today. We got 4 or 5 planned for tomorrow. We got a couple planned for Christmas. But yeah, we like to outwork people around here, hopefully. Because we can't get by with it on our pretty face, that's for sure. Thank you guys so much for being here. Unfortunately, I made a mistake last show. I'm going to start with this, and then we'll get to the Cam Vaughn news. I guess I showed some of Easton's tape when I was talking about Bronx Baker. And if you're not familiar, there's a linebacker, two linebackers that are brothers. One's in Illinois, one's in high school, 4-star player. Somehow I got their tape mixed up, so I apologized for that to them. Told them I would apologize. They didn't seem to be too hung up on it, but apparently I showed Easton's tape when I was saying it was Bronx there at the end, and I didn't mean to do that. I think what it was Bronx was sharing his brother's tape on his social media, and I thought it was his. That's what it was. So my apologies. I should have been better. I should have checked more, and that's my fault. Okay, so let's I think enough people are in here now. Looking at this situation, I think the best way to get into this is just to play the tape and let the public decide, I guess, maybe the easiest thing to do. This is Cam Vaughn earlier on TikTok Live.
Like, I love WVU fans. They lit. Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am staying. Mountaineer for life. Feel me? I'm staying, bro. Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am.
So you heard it there, right? Let's replay it one more time.
Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am staying. Mountaineer for life. Feel me? I'm staying, bro. Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am.
So, well, and then he said this after that.
Like, I love WVU fans. They lit.
Is it an official post that says, "Hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm committed to committed to West Virginia for 2026 and beyond"? No, it's not. But he did say he wasn't going anywhere. I think that's pretty solid. I believe him. I don't, Jaheim White trolled us, so I'm hesitant, to be honest with you. 2 days before Jaheim White left, he said he wasn't going anywhere, and he was trolling, actually, is what he was doing, I found out. So he was doing it to mess with people, not realize. I mean, maybe, some people don't care. And Jaheim gave us a lot of years, and I understand that. But, he did troll us right before he left, for whatever it's worth. So I'm hesitant, hoping that Cam isn't doing that here. You can only take somebody for what comes out of their mouth. And, here's my whole thing. So, in my opinion, Cam Vaughn is potentially the single most important piece to bring back next year. I don't know why some people don't believe that. He played on one of the worst possible teams you can play on when it comes to throwing the ball, because we couldn't run the ball, and we couldn't protect the quarterback, and he is a deep wide receiver. He's a deep threat. He's not one of these guys that runs the intermediate routes or any, I mean, he can, but I mean, he is the guy, he takes the top off your defense. And I personally felt like he didn't get a good showing last year as to what he can actually do. Him coming back is literally no different than going out and getting one of the best wide receivers in the portal, in my opinion. I just think that a lot of people were soured on him because of one incident last year. And if Cam Vaughn happens to watch this video, I don't know if he will or not. If you happen to see this, Cam, I just want you to know, man, that was a small subsect of the fan base. There were a lot of people that were mad that day. And if people don't know what I'm referencing, it's obviously the loafing play, the play where there was an interception and he just kind of kept jogging the other direction like Bo Jackson down the tunnel. Sorry, I got something in my eye or something here. And a lot of people took offense to that he didn't chase down the corner. And absolutely, like I said that day, listen, if you want to suspend him for, a quarter or a half, hell, even a game, if you really feel like it's necessary, I don't. I get it. I get that you have to set the culture and you have to be tough on people. But I just felt like personally, kids are going to make mistakes. You can also just coach them up and say, hey man, you can't do that again. Right. Like you don't have to punish somebody to the fullest extent of your, every single time. Like the way I look at it was all year long, literally all year long. Like I went back and looked, and just in that game alone, there was like 4 plays where he had a step or sometimes 2 steps on a guy and the ball was underthrown or not making it to him because we just didn't have any capability to get it there. And he got frustrated and he made a mental error. But if you can honestly say that you've never made a mental error, congratulations. Because I can't. I make them every day. We're all emotional creatures. And sometimes emotions can rule the day. So for me, it's like this kid's he was a red shirt freshman last year at Jack State. He's coming in to his first college experience at this level, and it's gone like absolute crap. And you're having to kind of bet on yourself here. You're coming to West Virginia in a rebuild where you could have went somewhere else that had better players and maybe done better for yourself. So I think for Cam Vaughn, the best thing he can do is stay at West Virginia. When it gets hard, you don't have to run every time. These days that's what players do. When you can just stick around and get better with the pieces we have. And I guarantee it. I'll bet anybody that wants to bet that Cam Vaughn catches 50 balls or more next year, as long as he's not hurt. Cam Vaughn I think he'll have 60 to 70 catches, and I think he'll have somewhere close to 1,000 yards next year if he just stays healthy. Because I think we'll have a much better offense. And if you're going to keep him, that's what I would say to him. If I were pitching Cam Vaughn, I would say, hey, look, we're going to go spend X million dollars on the offensive line next year. And we're going to get Jaden Bray back to offset you as the number 2 wide receiver. And we're going to go Scotty Fox is going to get a year better. And we're also going to bring in somebody that's equivalent to Scotty Fox to battle with Scotty Fox. The best man's going to win. And you're going to have a lot of balls thrown your way. And we're going to have an elite offensive line to run the ball and take shots down the field towards you. And nobody can guard Cam Vaughn over the course of 70 or 80 plays without giving 1 or 2 up. And there are going to be some days where he's just going to be a mismatch for you. You can't go out and get a guy like Cam Vaughn without battling Miami and Ohio State and all these other. If Cam Vaughn hit the portal, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get an Ohio State or some kind of offer. You have to take the production from last year out of it because it just, like I said, in my opinion, he wasn't able to show out like he was supposed to because of the way the team was constructed, which was bad. It was just a bad team. Listen, We had two offensive linemen that Pro Football Focus ranked. One was dead last in all of college football, and the other one was in the 200s. Our right tackle was in the 100s. We didn't have an offensive lineman that started that wasn't rated 100 or worse in the country. Let's go to break. We'll come back and we'll talk about the future. This episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at Game Time. With Game Time, did you know you can get cheap tickets fast with Game Time? And there's a reason for that, because there's nothing like college football seasons. Tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember. But actually getting tickets, that's the part that used to be frustrating with long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Look, I opened the Game Time app and I was able to find some pretty good tickets, guys, especially to School of Rock. And I was surprised how fast it was to find the great seats as well. The app is incredibly easy to use. I went from being able to browsing tickets to buying in just minutes. Seeing college football teams tickets for as low as $25 made it pretty easy to plan a trip to the game day, right? And if you want to be like me, take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off all your first purchase where the terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off today. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today and ask yourself that question of all questions. What time is it? It's game time. It's segment 2. We're going to crack open this y'all, and jump into it. All right. I'm going back. There's 67 comments. Have mercy. Have mercy. Hey, Blake, I appreciate that comment. Yeah, please don't block the pit people. They've both been the ones that have been here lately anyways, have been really good people so far to have, in my opinion. So yeah, don't block it. Listen, they know not to block anybody without asking me first anyway, for the most part, unless it's just really, really obvious. But yeah, unless it has to go pretty far for somebody to block somebody. All right. So, obviously we're talking about Cam Vaughn. And if you're just getting in here, we'll play it one last time just for context sake. Cam Vaughn tonight on TikTok Live, thanks to Dylan Moses, who's in the chat as a moderator, recording this.
Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am staying. Mountaineer for life. Feel me? I'm staying, bro. Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am.
For life. So, I mean, you can't really say it any plainer than that, right? Mountaineer for life. So I went back to that fateful day, and I'm just going to say it, man. Chris Anderson, which is one of the larger media people on the internet. It's weird how it works out too. The next day he posted on his site that all the coaches hate me and everything that I do. After I said this, but I said, a guy like Chris, who's not technically a fan of West Virginia, he just covers the team, can do this and not think about the overall ramifications, which is holy Cam Vaughn effort on that interception. I don't know how a West Virginia coach lets him come back. Just craziness. I mean, how do you even say that? How and then Shelton Gibson got involved. This is not Mountaineer football. All that. And there were literally thousands of comments. And I was even arguing with somebody yesterday about this. Still, this, for whatever reason, people's frustration with the entire season, in my opinion, was focused into that play. I've said over and over, now please, I'm asking you to listen if you're watching this. It's a bad play. You should absolutely punish it internally, however you see fit. Like I said, suspending for the first half of the first game, or whatever you want to do if you think it's that bad. Personally, I think his pride was probably hurt when the entire fan base came after him over a play that, I mean, is kind of mild. Fred Perry had 3 or 4, and look, I get it too, because they were effort plays, right? But he had 3 or 4 really bad penalties that were personal fouls. That gets a slide for being, because it's an effort play, right? It's part of the culture, and I get that. But I feel like Cam's was just out of frustration. It was in the 12th game, and it was a ball he was wide open on, and it's underthrown and picked. I mean, you know what I mean, guys? I don't know. Maybe I'm being too lenient. Maybe I'm soft. I don't know. But I just felt like he didn't need to be called out publicly by the entire fan base for it. And, of course, because Chris is the owner of a message board, all those people jumped in on Cam as well, because they kind of follow each other around. I mean, it's just the truth. Those guys, a lot of the people on the message boards kind of, they follow Mike and Chris around a little bit, and I'm not criticizing it necessarily. I'm just saying they've got a pretty large portion of the fan base that are beholden to them, however you want to say it. And they all kind of came out of the woodworks to come after Cam too. I looked at hundreds and hundreds of comments tagging him. So my assumption was, after that, I didn't think he was going to come back. I still have doubts, even after hearing him say he's coming back. It has a lot to do with the way Gene White handled his situation, which was, said the same kind of thing. I'm a Mountaineer for life, or what. I don't know exactly what he said. Maybe somebody else in the comments knows, but yeah, I mean, it's just, it's frustrating, man, but at the end of the day, we really need him. We really, really need him. And I'm so glad, I'm so glad, truthfully, that he's coming back. I love I'm going to buy a Cam Vaughn jersey now for the year, and all that. So I can't wait. Can't wait to have it. What does he do for us on the field? You might be asking. Whenever everything's going according to plan and the offense is at least average, he's a 6'2", 285-pound elite athlete with incredible reach, hands, high pointing balls, winning jump ball situations against corners. He's got elite speed. He's got elite acceleration. He runs at least a 4.4 in the 40, and it allows him to separate on deep routes, and he threatens vertically like nobody's business. He's got strong hands and elite grip strength, in my opinion, for securing catches in traffic too. And he's got body control, man. That's probably maybe his biggest flex, is his ability with body control to adjust midair and maintain possession through contact. His quick twitch ability is really good too, on slants and posts and all that kind of stuff. I would like to see his route running improve next year. But yeah, his power and his lower body for yards after the catch is solid. He breaks arm tackles. He gains extra yards. You can tell he ran a lot as a quarterback in high school. And overall, his upper body coordination is incredible. I like him a lot, man. His instincts from that quarterback background are pretty evident in some of the stuff that he does with his spatial awareness and some of the things he has going on. I would like to see him add 10 pounds to his frame. and all that. And obviously, you can't have any more lacking of effort. I mean, even though if you go, and I said this to somebody yesterday too, if you look at every player on the team, you're going to find plays that lack effort. His was just looked worse because the camera was on him by himself. As the ball was intercepted, the camera kept going for a second and it followed him, just jogged down the field, kind of frustrated. Um, it is a bad play, but I just couldn't believe how many people actually called for him not to come back. So for me, man, I'm glad it's not hopefully happening. And Cam deserves a second chance from the fan base. Good Lord. And I know this. People won't regret it. People won't regret giving it to him, in my opinion, man. I really believe that. I think Cam Vaughn has a chance to be one of the best receivers in all of college football if everything goes correctly, especially if Scotty Fox is our quarterback, because he's a good thrower of the ball, and I don't know who we're going to bring in. Maybe we bring in somebody who can throw it just as well or better, but, until we do, I think for Cam Vaughn, you would probably be rooting for Scotty Fox at this point to win the job next year, unless somebody can really throw it. And all you really need is a guy in this offense. I mean, it's nice if you can have a guy that can throw, short, intermediate, deep, inside, outside, all the whole thing. But I mean, all you really need in this offense is a guy that can throw quick screens and slants and deep. If you can do that and you can run the ball really well, it's a really effective offense. Now, it goes up a notch or two when you've got a guy like Will Greer who can layer that thing in 15 yards down the field, 18 yards down the field, and make all the throws. Yeah, absolutely, that helps. I think Scotty Fox has got a chance to be there next year. And with a really good offensive line, too, I think Scotty Fox has a chance to be very, very impressive. But I'll say this. I've thought about this a couple of times last year. They talked about putting in packages for a few different players. I would put one in for Cam Vaughn, to get him extra touches and let him run with that thing a little bit, just like Pat White. I think he would be an amazing pick because you could throw it with him every now and again. He can sling it a little bit. I mean, it has to be wide open or he runs it. But I think Cam Vaughn would be really good in the Wildcat. I would love to see that too. Be a way to get him touches as well, to get him going on offense. But overall, this is a happy day. We'll go to break. We'll come back, put our final thoughts on this as we approach midnight and Christmas Eve right after the break. Of course, our people at FanDuel say hello, and why wouldn't they? It's that time of year. And if you want to be in the middle of the action this season, FanDuel is the place to do it, baby. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's why making live bets with FanDuel are so exciting right now. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, momentum swing, and highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, defense tightens up, or momentum flips up after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump, and dive straight into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up, and you can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. And it keeps you locked into every snap, drive, and possibility. So if you want to be in the middle of the action next season or this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long with FanDuel. The game moves fast, and so can you. All right. We're back. Thanks, guys, for everything. I appreciate y'all. This is going to be great. I'm glad Cam's back. Hopefully that sticks. Hopefully they've already had that conversation. I had heard something earlier today to the effect of, they weren't sure what was going to happen. So for him to come out and say that's pretty big news in my opinion. But we'll still monitor it, who knows? You never know what can happen, right? Like the right offer comes in, the guy's hitting the portal. So, keep that in mind. We just have to depends on the context, like how does it come about? If he's in the portal tomorrow morning, then probably he was trolling us. But if he goes in the portal on January 2nd, that doesn't necessarily mean he lied. It just means that probably somebody poached him, right? That's what's. And here's the thing, guys. Remember this. Don't forget about this. Several people I've talked to say West Virginia knows at least 8 or 10 of the guys that they're going to swing at, if not more, right now. Already now. They've already contacted them. And if you just go look at who each staff member is following, you can get an idea for who they've been contacting. It may not be everybody, but for the most part, you can get a great idea for who is contacting some of these guys. So, I would just say to you, do your thing, but make sure that you're keeping an eye on our situation going forward with the portal. That January 2nd, we should already have some stuff rolling that way, that direction, as far as visits and everything. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple commits within 24 to 48 hours of January 2nd. They got to make it look like they just reached out to some people, but maybe it'll take an extra couple of days, but at least we'll start getting some visits lined up and some things should be good to go. But there are going to be some guys that just commit right away. Congratulations to Cam Vaughn, though. Hopefully he sticks around and we don't have to worry about it. For those of you that are just getting here, we will play the clip one more time before we get off here. Cam Vaughn earlier on TikTok Live on his future with West Virginia.
Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am staying. Mountaineer for life. Feel me? I'm staying, bro. Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am.
So Cam Vaughn addressed it on TikTok Live earlier today. Thanks to Dylan Moses and moderating the chat for recording that and sending it over. Seems like we were pretty able to be first on that. And that's good news. That's good news for everybody involved. So we'll hopefully find out more about it as the January 2nd approaches. I'll be watching. I'll be talking to a few of my friends tomorrow that are in the know and find out if this is legitimate or trolling. I think it's legitimate, though, and we'll talk about more then. It's getting late, though, but now that it's 12:01, happy Christmas Eve to everybody. Merry Christmas Eve to everybody. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Festivus for the rest of us, whichever one of these you celebrate. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. My eyes are getting pretty heavy with it, so I think we're going to be all right. Just make sure you guys, come back tomorrow when I record. I'm going to do a couple of videos. And if you're new here, subscribe, by the way. We're like 10 people away from 7K. It'd be nice to get there for Christmas. And we'll see you then, guys. Have a great night. Q Country Roads. We're out of here.